Okay, so here we are back inside the guitar, and we're going to fill it in. Now, originally I wanted to use a wood shim. Unfortunately, the only wood I've got that would fit the bill splinters like crazy along its lines. When you try to drill into it, just splinters. It's like, damn it. And I don't have anything small enough or thin enough to really work this and do it right. So I got a piece of plastic from a fretboard, sorry, from a pick guard. I've got it to fit in there just perfectly. But before I put it in there, I tested some glues out on it. So I tested number 20 Stu-Max is tightest, and this is just what you call it, hot melt. It won't hold on for won't hold it for diddly squat. So I tried two different types of glues on it, and the number 20 is the way to go. Going with plastic on wood. All right. Now the one thing that I didn't plan on until I saw it inside the guitar is that the paint is powdery. If you look at this, this is what just came off the guitar, the plastic I'm using inside of it. And I don't want to glue to that. So what I want to do is get in there with this towel with some cleaner and clean off that spot that you're looking at inside the guitar. Also, what I didn't plan on was a temperature dropping, very quickly today. It's like, damn it. What else could go wrong? So the glue up's going to take a little longer for it to cure. Okay. Now tomorrow's supposed to be nice and warm out. I think Thursday's going to be supposed to be warm. So we'll see. But in the meantime, I got to get all this black crap off here so I have something permanent to glue against. And when you're doing this, guys, that glue that I'm using may penetrate some of that, but not a thick layer of it, okay? So I'm getting all the glue, the powdered paint off it that I can get off of it, and try to get as close to wood as I can get without sanding. I don't want to go that far and be doing that. Of course, unless it doesn't stick. And I'm getting down to a blue undercoat already on this, this powder they sprayed in here. I don't know why. But it looks like this guitar may have started out to be blue. Can you see this? I think you can see it. So, before it gets any cooler out, and it makes this glue take even longer to set up and cure, what I want to do is put a little rag underneath this for the slot that's going to be open until I fill that in, and get the number 20 in here and put this little shim in there to hold it in place. And that black stuff is still coming off, so I am going to have to sand it. I got to get down to bare wood, guys. You can't glue against paint. Okay, so look inside the guitar. You see the original color was blue. And I think sanding this would be a bad idea, because all I want to do is remove that coat of paint that's on there. It's like powder paint. And I want to get that off as much as I can to get in there and get this little shim attached to wood, not paint. Especially powder paint like this stuff is. This is like dry spray paint they put on this thing. I'll put it down in here, and why, I don't know. It's a beautiful color blue. I mean, if that's what the original color of the guitar was. But let's get all that stuff off there. And then we have something to actually glue against. So it's always good, guys, to use something less abrasive if you can find it that'll work, especially when you don't have much wood to work with. And I'm kind of hesitant to even press on this thing. It's so thin here. One thing this will do, it'll help support all the parts going in here. And that is desperately needed, as thin as this stuff is. I mean, this is just, it's thinner than this thickness here. This little slot here they put in here for the three-way. I mean, it is super thin. So I don't want to use sandpaper because of that. Now, there's plenty of dust in this thing floating around now. I got to make sure to get that dust out of there so that doesn't contaminate the pickups. Okay? So, let's go in there with some cleaner on a little paper towel. Get that remaining dust off there and out of that cavity. I don't want any of that stuff left. I gotta get those holes cleaned out for the 3-way screws too that held it down. They're now full of paint and steel wool. Yeah, pretty much all came off now. Now I actually have a good surface to glue against. Sorry guys, I have to lift this up to look and see where I am at the holes themselves. Okay, so that's out of there now. Let's give it a few minutes to dry. We can take our shim and glue that down in there with the Super 20 glue. And the Super 20 glue is the glue from StewMac that's neither too thick nor real thin. It's kind of in the middle as the number applies. Well, here we are. We're ready to put the glue into this. I can't think of else we may have missed or not covered on this. I've already tested the glue up on the wood surface, and that's not coming off for anybody. And as long as the surface is solid, I shouldn't have any issues with that. Alright, so I'm going to put it on the part itself. It's a little thicker than the super thin stuff. And I'll give it a liberal amount. Alright. I gotta get on there pretty quick too. I can't let it dawdle around a bunch. So I'll get it on the part, on the piece itself, and in there, just like that. A little overspread. Yeah, there we go. It's in there and it's fitting really well. So that fills in that hole there so I can drill into that now. Now, normally setup on this is less than 10 minutes. Number 20 exactly, 10 minutes. You can see it's not coming off this no matter what I do. But I will be drilling down into the part, not up, to press it outwards, and starting off with very small pilot drill holes to get this job done right, okay? But since it's really cold and the temperature dropping, what I'm going to do is wait until tomorrow, which is Friday, actually it's Thursday, and get this thing set up right, okay? Alright, so working the front part of the guitar today, some. Like I said earlier, these parts will fill in later after I've set the other holes up for the other parts, first of all and foremost. But now I need to get these brackets on these pickups. I gotta get the right one, the right bracket on the right pickup. I think, if I'm not mistaken, these are both the exact same size. And I take that back, one's a little bit smaller than the other, and that belongs on the neck, which is right here in my hands. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on here. And this is always the fun part for this, guys. Oh, okay, so now we're starting to see some problems. These actual screws are way too long to fit within the cavity. The pickup won't even touch. So I've got to cut these screws. Now some people, I've seen them route the holes deeper, and that's just insane. But I've got to cut these darn screws down pretty much. And the thing is, if I cut them outside of the bracket, they may never go back inside the bracket again because the threads be screwed up. So I got to make a choice here. Especially with golden especially with StewMac pickups, you cannot find one to fit that unless it's one of theirs. Unfortunately, unless you want to open up the hole. So the only thing I can think of to do is get out my Dremel with my diamond metal cutting blade that you see right here. And what I want to do, guys, I want to tape this up. This entire little section here, I'll tape it up and mark it where I want to cut it. Leaving enough room on it so, like, you know, you can back it off some, do what you got to do. Not just cut to the edge. But I'll tape it so that when I'm cutting through this metal, none of the flakes are going to get on this magnet. Alright? Any of the dust or the burrs. And that's the best way to do it, and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so I got the tape on there. What I'm going to do is cut that about halfway into this, leaving enough room on the bottom to make, you know, somewhat adjustments, lowering it back down again. But the issue going up, bringing the pickup up is no problem, right? As long as the spring doesn't pop on him. But lowering it back down again, I gotta make sure he knows that you can only go so far. But if you look at this, you know, it's as low as it should go anyway, or pretty much so. from what I'm looking at. Yeah, you don't want to go much lower than that. All right. Now, on my Dremel, I've got a diamond cutting blade for metal. And just though any cutting blade won't do when you're trying to do something like this, it's got to be just exactly what you're looking at and diamond coated. Otherwise, it's not going to do dick. It's just going to scar the product up or scar the screw up. Let me show you what's going on here now since this thing calms down. It cut right through it. The tape stays on, and no parts went flying everywhere on this. So we got a nice clean pickup still with no metal shavings in it on it, and that's what we want. Now make sure to protect that pickup at all costs. You never can tell. Anyway, that's why I didn't cut it flush, just in case. Now the Seymour Duncan part, whoopsie, this is the neck, neck. The Seymour Duncan part points downwards. Okay. And this body, you know, there's wires through here. I should have taped these, and I will here in a minute. Gonna go through this next hole. Doggone it, David. Nice thing is I've got those tiny little strippers now that I can actually get some extra lead on these things. Now see how it's going to fit in here. Darn thing is oh man, that's just perfect, guys. It just fits flush. You wouldn't believe it. Perfect fit. Yes, that's what I want to see. Nice and flush. Okay, no problemos. Now, before we go any further, we're going to have to take this out for a second and verify what we're going to do next is drill these holes into this, the 1/16 drill bits. And to do this, I'll put it right up against the neck where it belongs. Okie dokie. And there's going to be a little bit of a gap here underneath this one side, if you can see what I'm pointing at. But it's not going to be it's not going to be overly apparent, but it's going to be there because of the way this pickup sits with inside this bracket, which I can't have any control over that. And then, when you do this, guys, just do your thing with your drill bit. Mark it as well as tape, right? And make sure you don't go too deep. You want that wood to be cut by some of that screw, not just, you know, a complete deep hole and you're just kind of semi-filling that hole with that screw. You want the wood to be cut some by the threads on that screw. So let's get the other pickup finished and done and get those legs cut off, and we'll come back. Okay, well there you have the pickups in position right now. And like I said, there's going to be a little gap on one side where the routs is a little bit wider than the brackets are. And I got a little problem. I don't know if he brought them or not, but I've only got 4 screws, actually 5 screws to mount these with. And that could be an issue. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see if I can't find some extra ones. So we got everything taped out of the way. The pickups are in, they're mounted, they're ready to stay. The ground wire is taped away from the cavity, so I have free roam of the cavity. And I've got a little problem here. This is the only place this 3-way switch is going to fit inside this guitar. I mean, that's it. Again, we are very pressed for room, you know. Once I get them in there, it's going to look like I've got gobs of space. But trying to get the wires in the right place, make sure that there's no crossing, there's no shorting, that's when the problem gets involved. You know, just sticking them in there is no big deal. But getting them in there right is going to be a big deal. Now, what I'm going to do, I got a hole here, but you see it's chipped out, right? Somebody's already chipped this, so I'm really concerned about using my little taper here to get in there and open this up for the 3-way because of its diameter is much greater than this hole, all right? So here we go. We're going to do it very gently, very slowly, and see how this wood reacts. And hopefully nothing on the front goes bad. This is the way it's done. is you want that back side to have the biggest opening. And when you're cutting, usually the chips take place on the back, not the front. So far so good. I don't think it's big enough yet. No. Oh man. There isn't enough space here to do this. I know that for sure. I measured it. The diameter is not too big. And like I said, this is about the only place I can think of to put this. So when I get to the end of it, it should be ready to go in. Thankfully, the pots aren't this wide. There we go. Perfect fit, guys. It's actually going to fit this way. Like that. All right. And you can see the height is good too. That's what's key to this. Not only the space it takes up, but the height it takes up. That 3-way or 5-way, whichever one we have gone with would have been too high, and the back panel would have been sitting up an 1/8 of an inch, and that would just terribly look, yeah, it just looked awful, you know. Plus it'd be awkward because you'd be catching your buttons on your shirt all the time. Can't rock and roll that way, guys. Okay, so I'm drilling on this, and unfortunately I'm going to have to punch out one of those screw holes that was there for the 3-way flipper switch. Cut into its diameter of the hole, damn it. Now I'll probably end up chipping that to pieces, but I think due to the width of these pots, the shafts on them, they may be covered up, as well as the knobs that go over it. Should help to cover it up as well. It's not much of a drill to do, but oh man, I hate doing this, but that's the only place it can go. There's no more places for it to go. This is it. And what I'm doing, I'm widening this hole right now, little by little by little. I mean, very small increments. I'm changing drill bit sizes, so I don't have to stress this too much. Okay, so now I see a little better. It's the hole right here. It's shadowed just a bit because of the lamps in the wrong position. And you see a little better now, maybe. Yeah, now you see it. Anyway, I am going tiny bit by tiny bit, drill bit, up and up to get this hole to work out right and not make a mess of things. But again, I am still concerned about chipping the crud out of this thing. And I don't want to use the taper yet. I'll get a little bit larger, actually a lot larger than that. Might as well put it forward. A lot larger than this thing is right now. But I sure don't want to push it. I don't want to press it, because I know what's going to happen if I go too fast or get too rough. Okay, so the front is chipping just a tiny bit, but again, it's under the knob, so I'm not that concerned. Don't want it to spread, obviously, but I've got to punch this. And now we're going to try a bit with some serious size on it to get through this, and then go to the taper. I feel good about it. I don't want this thing to lean. It's kind of leaning on my pressure, but I can't get it to... There we go. Okay, so that's got a nice hole in it now. And we're getting there step by step. Alright, so the guy got to drop in with his ukulele strings, his baritones, which I didn't have. And now we're back on this little monster here that's driving me crazy a bit. But we will get through it, and we will prevail. Again, the thing is just a simple amount of pressure. I'm going to cut away because my arm's going to get in the way, guys. Okay, well, we got it through, which is good. It's going to be a real tight fit for the screw that goes around it. Yep, somebody wants me hanging there, guys. Okay, so when you look down inside, you see that we are right in the sweet spot on this part of the body here. So you introduce another one right there as close as we dare to get it. We'll probably have to do some arranging with the legs on the caps that go from one pot to the other. I may have to get some new caps out and leave the long legs on there and then circumvent them around the three-way as best I can, because there'll be two legs going from here to here. So maybe one that's got a long leg on it over to here to this pot. Over here is not a problem, but this one will be a problem. So I'll put a long leg or extend a leg on it and put some heat shrink on it to you know, isolate it from the rest of the circuit. So far it's working out good. We didn't do a lot of chipping on the outside of the guitar, right? You've seen that. Let's show it one more time. We did take in the hole, which I knew was going to happen right there, right? But we had to fill that in anyway. And I'm thinking a lot of that's going to be hidden by the knob itself, probably all of it, which is good. Less things we have to fill in and hide later on. But it's going along smoothly. Now, cross our fingers that the drill work has to be done here and here and here, as well as the patchwork I do on the jack itself goes well. And my better half just brought me a dowel from Ace Hardware to do that very same job. Right, there it is. So I'll get this and whittle it down and put it in here, then cut it flush, right? And then drill the hole in I want in it to accommodate my different type of jack that goes on this guitar. And like I showed you before, the jack goes in there as a nightmare, and it takes up so much space out here. It comes all the way out, and actually it had to cut it in half to get it to fit, you know, inside this guitar with those other pots in there. So hang in there, guys. Alright, you're looking at this job almost complete, and man, this is tight on these pots here, these legs, but much better than the other ones. They would not even fit in here. They're so wide and tall as well, but these fit in here very nicely, thank you. And they got just a little bit room to spare to put the lid back on this thing. Not a lot, but some. And I have to go with some longer leg on these, change those out. These all go to grounds now. So everything's attached except to do the final solder up with the pickups as well. Okie dokie. And make sure they follow the diagrams. Of course, I had one blowout on the last darn one, this one right here. I had a drill bit just pull me right down with it. Just caught a spot, just snagged, and just pulled the damn thing down, and look what happened. Big chip off the front. Now some of that's going to be hidden by the knob and the washers that go around the the pots, but I will be using some of this actual chip to put back in there where it belongs, and see if I can't fix up that little hole or little divot type looking thing. Okay, so I've got this dowel I've got to glue into position, as well as hammer it in with some glue on it, get it in there permanently. Then I'll trim it off and I'll color it up with the marker and some clear poly, right? Make it dull looking, same as the paint on this guitar. And then I'm going to mount this jack like you would a SG, right between the sorry guys. And then I'm going to mount this jack right here, okay, right char. I think I'll try to get through the same hole that's open on the back side, try to center it up on that where that screw went for the old three-way switch, so I can actually take in a hole that I want to have there and one less thing to fill in. Alright, but this little dowel I just cut fits this thing perfectly. I sanded it and got it in there. It's just right. And it's really tight, so I'm concerned about not being able to glue it and the glue stick to it, because it's going to force everything out, again. But it goes all the way to the end. Already checked that. The depth's correct. So, next thing I do is put some good old-fashioned tight bond on this. So, next thing I do is get a hammer off a bench. And I use a dead blow hammer to do this kind of work with. A little bit heavier hammer than my regular luthier's hammer. And just once I get the glue on there, start tapping that in there. See how much squeeze out I get. I'll need a paper towel. And I'll make sure it stays in there permanently. But that's the only thing we can do, guys. There's no space to put any type of jack where this original hole is. The jack would actually be hitting into this pot, and there's no way I was going to put it way over here and make it really strange looking. It's already getting a little different anyway. But coming through like an SG, I'll reinforce this area here with another sheet of hard plastic. Again, try to hit that same hole spot. Right, get that thing in there. Okay, so first things first, right? Get the tight bond out. Let's back this up a little so make sure you can see everything. Okay, now you can see it. You can see that ring around it. I really need to get that off there. That's paint, and I don't want to glue the, sticky ass paint that's been left on the part by twirling it in there. So I'm just going to take off some of that paint off here that came off when I was putting it and fitting it. Alrighty. See any kind of thick parts of it. Like that. Okay, so now it's all nice and round again, as you can see. You know how round that is? Well, at least it's the same shape as the hole, at least. It's not 100% round itself. But we're going to go in here, use the tight bond. If I can get the lid of it open, there we go. Use the tight bond, put it on here generously. Like that. And put a little in here too. Okay, so I'll put a little bit more glue right there like that. Get a nice swab with my finger. I'm gonna leave most of it on there. And now I'm gonna take my little dowel and work it through it as well, just like this. And it's not going anywhere. Okay, so take a little dead blow hammer. You can see what I'm, yeah, you can see, okay. And we'll make sure I hit this thing perfectly straight and get it in that part. Now, we're gonna let that cure up. Take all this excess squeeze out. Okay, off the guitar. Okay, so that's all set and done, and it's in there at the proper angle to the body. It's not going anywhere. And as soon as that glues up, I'll take a flush cut saw and cut that off and sand the rest down. And in the meantime, I got to punch a hole through this to get the jack in.